Okay, so I did some research on the Gunther points, and I'm going to make some little modifications to this to make it look more realistic. I use this book here for most of my reproductions from the West Coast. This is California and Great Basin. The Gunther is in this book here by Noel Justice. Okay, this is a typical Gunther here. These are all Gunthers on this page, and then there's some others on the next page, and some of these are untyped, which means that they're found with Gunthers or in the same area, but they don't have the same characteristics, so they haven't been typed separately. They're just all grouped together as Gunthers. These look more like a totally different form, very similar to Perdiz points in Texas. What I think of when I think of a Gunther, I think of more like this one here, or this one down here, or these. I've seen these in color pictures. I know I've seen this one here in color, and like I said in the other video, some of these are made of chert, some are made of obsidian. Anyways, as far as this goes, I'm going to change the stem. I'm going to make it a contracting stem instead of expanding like this. And that dimple in there in the base, I got that from some reproductions I saw. That apparently is a modern addition. I've only seen two other Gunthers that were in collections that have kind of a concave base. 2 out of maybe a couple hundred. So that's like 1 or 2% of Gunthers would have a base like this. So I don't consider this typical. Also, there's no serrations typically on the very tip. I put serrations on the very tip of this one, so I'm going to smooth that down. Alright, and I'm going to change this base to be a contracting stem and kind of flat on the bottom. Also, with the Gunthers I've seen, the real ones, this is not curved here usually. Not this much. It's kind of straight. From the tip of the barb to the base of that notch is straight and not concave like this usually. Let's see if I can show you what I mean. You see how that's kind of straight right there on the inside of that notch? Some of these may droop down slightly, some of them will flare out, but it's usually straight or, you know, flaring outward and not thin and kind of thick right here on the barbs. I thinned mine down a lot because I thought I remembered seeing that, but it's not really a feature of Gunther. Okay, but I can't do much about that on this one. I'll just leave it. Alright, so sorry I cut out there. The bad part about having a camera on the phone is that when you receive calls and whatnot, it interferes with the video. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly make these modifications and then show you, and then I'm going to probably I am going to do another Gunther video shortly. So I'm just going to make the base contracting and flatten it, or I should say stem contracting stem, and flatten the base. Most Gunthers, when I looked at the book, had a pointed or rounded base, but some of them do have flat bases. And there's a difference between a base and a stem, and I keep mixing that up. But the stem is this whole piece, and the base is just the bottom part. Okay, that's the base at the bottom. This is the stem right here. And this is the neck across the space between the notches. So a lot of times in this video I was saying base and stem interchangeably, but they're two different things. And many times it seems like these stems are short. I know there are Gunthers, when I was looking that up, that had long pointed stems. But all the ones I've seen with the rounded or flattened base were short. All right. I'm just going to smooth out this needle tip. Basically, I'm just removing the serrations from near the tip. And from the actual tip itself. Clean that up. And I also noticed that a lot of these serrations were pointed and not squared off on several examples that I saw. So I'm going to go ahead and put points on these. I'm just kind of pressure flaking the bottom side to put a point so that they face slightly upward. The thing about flint knapping is everything is deliberate. There's hardly any accidental features. Everything is deliberate. So let's say, for example, you see a feature on one and not the other. It's usually known to put a feature in, but it's just either laziness or time. They didn't have time to do all the features, but they were very well aware of everything that they did with the flint knapping. So if you look at the notches, look for certain characteristics, like I should say serrations. When you look at serrations, they tend to have certain characteristics. You know, do they serrations point upward? Do they go out? Do they contract sharply, or are they rounded? And you know, various features on the serrations are important to look at when you want to do a reproduction to get it to look right. Alright, so that's all I'm going to do on that. I just shortened the stem, made it contracting, and I removed the serrations from the tip. So now I think it looks a little bit closer to the Gunthers in the book. Maybe make it a little more symmetrical. Let's see. I could have done that a little bit better. See how the tip is now curved? A little bit straighter from the side. Okay. Alright, so that wraps this one up. I'm going to do another one coming up here shortly. Either the next video or one of the videos in the near future. I'll do another Gunther. I got a lot of stuff I'm working on right now at the same time. Finishing up these points requires a lot of practice to get them finished. I have a lot of snaps. Let's see. Anyway, I have a whole pile of snaps here. It's one thing to get a basic shape. It's another thing to finish it out. I have several different materials I was working with, and I have to get past the stage of snapping as many as I have been. Once I get past that stage, then I can start finishing up everything I'm working on. I'm working on several projects at once, and hopefully I'll be able to finish them all in one day. But I had to get into the zone. This one from a previous video. I want to make this more narrow, and I've been working on some other styles of points. I'll just show you the bases here. And I haven't been able to get them just right, and it's because I'm not fully in the correct mode to get these finished out properly. They're almost there. A friend of mine sent me some pictures of points like this. Anyway, same with the obsidian points. After I did the obsidian videos, I kind of put them on hold because I was messing up the preforms with step fractures toward the end, and then I was trying to clear off the step fractures and coming in too light on the 125 grains. So I put them on hold until I got better at finishing out, and I think I'm almost there. You know, just practicing on bifaces until I get into the correct mindset to finish these out. Okay, so that's why I jumped to this one too, because it helps me get into the to that very delicate mindset to finish these out. All right.